Today topic is mechanism of action of hormones. So as I told before, so how these hormones are working. What is the different mode of actions? Either it is working directly or it is working through different messengers. So we'll discuss that one today. So already I have discussed the classification of hormones. Like there is a two classes, class one and the class two, you can say, or depending on the chemical structures. Like either it is steroid hormones or protein or peptide hormones, or it is derived from the amino acids. So there are different type of hormones. So based on the types of hormones like class 1 or class 2, the mechanism of action for that hormone is different. Like this is a mechanism action for steroid hormones and the thyroid hormones, which is the class 1 hormones. So here you can see this is a plasma layer. This layer you can see that is a plasma layer. Okay, the plasma layer. Below that you have the cell. Okay, below that you have the target cells. So this lipophilic hormones it can easily diffuse the plasma membrane because the plasma membrane contains the lipids. It is a lipid bilayer. That's why it can easily diffuse. This lipophilic hormones, the class 1 hormones, it can easily diffuse through the plasma membrane. And you can see here the cytoplasmic receptors and the nuclear receptors. Cytoplasmic receptor is present in the cytosol and nuclear receptor present inside the nucleus. So the hormones like steroid hormones which bind to the cytosolic receptors, so it will go and bind to the cytosolic receptors and it forms the complex. It forms the complex. Okay, so now it is a hormone receptor complex. Now this hormone receptor complex, it will go inside the nucleus and act on the DNA, and that is known as the hormone responsive elements. It is act on the hormone response element HRE to that and causes the uh, production of mRNA. Then similarly you can see the proteins. So a specific protein is formed and which causes the physiological actions, metabolic action, or you can say the physiological metabolic actions. Second type, which receptor is present inside the nucleus. So these hormones reach to the nucleus and bind again to the nuclear receptors, and it forms the hormone receptor complex. And remaining part will be the same. Act on the HRE hormone response elements, and there is the transcriptions to form the messenger RNA and translations to form the specific protein that takes place inside the cytosols, and this protein causes the physiological metabolic functions. Okay, so cytosolic receptors, it is bound by the steroid hormones, and the nuclear receptor mainly by the thyroid hormones. So if you are going to write about the mechanism of action of steroid hormones, you can give only this cytosolic receptors and it forms the hormone receptor complex and act on the DNA. If you are writing the mechanism of action of thyroid hormones, you can mention the nuclear receptors. So this is the mechanism of action of steroid hormones and the thyroid hormones, which is a class 1 group of hormones. Is it clear? Is it clear? Rolly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you'll move to the next one. You can see it. The peptide hormones or the protein hormones, they cannot cross the membrane. These are the uh, hydrophilic. It requires the water. It's a hydrophilic in nature, so it is not able to cross the plasma membrane. So when it is activated, the receptor on the cell surface poses the signal to the intercellular second messengers and causes the biological activity. So what is the meaning of this is, these peptide hormones or amine hormones or the protein hormones, they are the hydrophilic in nature. So it is not able to diffuse through the plasma membrane, which is a lipid bilayer. So what it will do, it will act through the second messenger. like the class 1, like the steroid hormone, should not make the complex, and that complex will move to the nucleus. It's not like that. Here what it will do, it will bind to the receptors which present on the cell surface, which present a plasma membrane, bind to that receptors, and they will send the signals. It will send the signals through the second messengers, and finally it have the biological activity, biological response, or several effects will you can see. So it will act through the second messengers. So we will discuss what are the second messengers and how it is causes the physiological actions, how it will on the target cells, how it causes the cellular effects. So the second messengers are the molecules that relay the signals received at the receptors on the cell surface, and as the arrival of the proteins, hormones, or the growth factors to target molecules in the cytosol or in the nucleus. So generally what it means, that molecules which will receive the signals after binding of hormones to the receptors, and that will send the signals, and that will be received by the second messengers and causes the effects. And that can be like the protein hormones, growth factors, even the cytokines, they also act through the second messengers. Okay, so you can see how it will act. So what are the different type of second messengers? So it is classified into three groups, mainly in the three groups, like cyclic nucleotides, ionocytal triphosphates, or you can say IP3, and the calcium ions. And some of the books they have mentions the gases like nitric oxides. Okay, gases, through gases. But this is the main three major classes of the second messengers. Cyclic nucleotides that contains the cyclic AMP and the cyclic GMP, ionocytal triphosphates like IP3, and the diacyl glycerols, and the third one is the calcium ions. So these are the second messengers which causes the biological actions after binding to the receptors. So some of the hormones or class 2 hormones, they act through the second messengers, either through the cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, IP3, diacylglycerol, calcium ions. Okay, so we'll discuss one by one how this cyclic AMP form, cyclic GMP is formed, IP3 diacylglycerol is formed, and how there is a release of the calciums. So we'll discuss on the next slides. So the cyclic AMP, it is synthesized from the ATP by the action of enzyme known as adenyl cyclase. So this is the adenyl cyclase which forms the cyclic AMP from the ATP. So in this reaction, you can see there is the removal of the inorganic phosphates. Okay, and it forms the cyclic AMP, 3-5 cyclic AMP. And the cyclic AMP causes the activation of some of the other enzymes which leads to the biological action that we'll discuss later on. Once the function of the cyclic AMP is over, another enzyme that is known as the phosphodiesterase that will convert cyclic AMP to the 5-AMP. Okay, if this enzyme is not present, the cyclic AMP will be active all the time. After the formation of the cyclic AMP, it will be active. So it becomes inactive with the help of enzyme that is known as phosphodiesterase. Phosphodiesterase enzyme which converts cyclic AMP to the 5-AMP. So you can see in this diagram, this first messenger, that is the hormones or the cytokines. So that is known as the first messengers that will bind to the receptors which present on the plasma membrane. And having the three parts as you have discussed yesterday, extracellular, transmembrane, and the intracellular part, you can say. Three part is present in the receptors: extracellular, transmembrane, and the intracellular domain of that receptor. So this first messenger will bind to the, or hormones bind to the extracellular domain, and the signal passes to the intracellular domains. Okay, through the transmembrane, it is to the intracellular domains. So this is a G protein coupled receptors. G protein coupled receptors. So now you can see this G proteins, which is first bind to the GDP and having the different subunits. Okay, different subunits like alpha, beta, and gamma subunits, and bind to the GDP. When it is activated, we look at the signals that GDP converted into the GTP, and this G protein becomes the active, and that causes activation of the adenyl cyclase, which is the enzyme responsible for formation of cyclic AMP. And due to this enzyme, there is formation of cyclic AMP, which is the second messenger. Now the cyclic AMP will activate another enzyme that is known as the protein kinase A, and this protein kinase A causes the cellular response or physiological response or metabolic response. Okay, by this one. So we'll discuss later on. So now we should know what do you mean by the G proteins and protein kinase A. What is these two? What is the different component or subunits of these two? G protein and the protein kinase A. So this G protein is a trimer consisting of the alpha, beta, and the gamma subunits. And this alpha subunits having the GS and the GI. GS means it is a stimulatory and I means it is a inhibitory. There are two type of alpha subunits, you can say GS and the GI. So this GS will stimulate the G proteins and GI will inhibit the G proteins. Okay, and provide the specificity for the activation or inhibition of the adenyl cyclase. GS and the GI can thus couple binding of the ligands to G protein coupled receptors with either activation or inhibition of adenyl cyclase depending on the receptor types. So depending on the receptor, either it is inhibitory or stimulatory, based on that this enzyme will be activated and there will be the formation of cyclic AMP. Okay. So another protein that is which is related to the cyclic AMP, that is a protein kinase A. It is a target for the cyclic AMP. It is a heterotetramer consisting of two regulatory and two catalytic subunits. So this protein kinase A having the two subunits, regulatory subunits and the catalytic subunits. So two regulatory and two catalytic subunits. So when this cyclic AMP level are the low, this protein kinase A holoenzyme is in the dormant stage. Okay, in dormant. But when the level of the cyclic AMP is elevated, two molecules bind in a highly cooperative manner to each R subunits, causing the conformational changes and release the C subunits. That means when the level of cyclic AMP is increased, it binds to the regulatory subunit of protein kinase A, and that causes the conformational changes in protein kinase A structures and release of the C subunits. Okay, that is a catalytic subunits. Catalytic subunits will be released, but once it bind to the cyclic AMP bind to the R subunits, that will be the conformational changes and release of the catalytic subunit, that is a C. Okay. So these catalytic subunits of the protein kinase A phosphorylate serine and the threonine residue on the target substrate. So it will act on the two amino acids, that is the serine and the threonine. To that it causes the phosphorylations. Okay, phosphorylation of the some substrate that will be either activated or inhibited based on that, but it will target only the serine and the threonine residue on that target substrate. Around 300 to 500 distinct intracellular proteins can be phosphorylated by the protein kinase A in the typical cells. Okay, 300 to 500 distinct intracellular proteins that is phosphorylated by this protein kinase A. So these subunits can diffuse into the nucleus where it can phosphorylate the transcription factors, okay, such as the cyclic AMP response elements binding proteins. Cyclic AMP can thereby ultimately influence the transcription activations and reprogramming of the cell. So you can take the one example like I think you have not studied this breakdown of glycogen. Glycogen is breakdown by the glycogen phosphorylase, and that glycogen phosphorylase will be active when it is phosphorylated. So this phosphorylation takes place by the protein kinase A, which is activated by the cyclic AMP. So in that case, cyclic AMP will be increased, that bind to the regulatory subunits and releases the catalytic subunits, and that catalytic subunit causes the phosphorylation of glycogen phosphorylase, and which help in the breakdown of glycogen. So here you can see how it can activate the cyclic AMP, and the cyclic AMP is related to the protein kinase A. So this is a G protein coupled receptors which is present on the plasma membrane, having these three subunits here I said, alpha, beta, and the gamma subunits. When it is activated, okay, the signal is when the hormone is bound to that receptors, it causes the activation of the G proteins, and so it is distributed in two groups, G alpha and the beta and the gamma subunits that will be dissociated, and this alpha subunit will become the active. When it is a S type, it will activate the adenyl cyclase, which causes the formation of cyclic AMP from the ATP. Now the cyclic AMP will bind to the R subunits of the protein kinase A. When it is bound, like protein, these four subunits together, it is inactive. Protein kinase A, when it binds to the catalytic and the regulatory subunit, it is inactive. But when cyclic AMP bind to the regulatory subunits and cause the conformational changes, so the C catalytic subunit will be released and it becomes the active. Okay, which causes the phosphorylation or dysphosphorylation of the some of the substrate for its function. So another molecule, second messenger, the cyclic GMP. After the cyclic AMP, another molecule that is the cyclic GMP. Some of the hormones act through the cyclic GMP. So it is a second messenger and synthesized by the enzyme known as, this is also the cyclase. Okay, like adenyl cyclase, it is guanylyl cyclase, which are their catalytic domains close to the inner face of the plasma membrane and are stimulated by the small peptide factors that bind to the extracellular domains. Okay, so here also the same thing, like the extracellular domain, transmembrane domain, and intracellular domain. So this hormone will bind to the extracellular domains, and the response will reach to the intracellular domains. It can be also produced by the soluble cytoplasmic guanylyl cyclase, which is stimulated by the nitric oxides. And the cyclic GMP targets the cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase. In the cyclic AMP, that was the protein kinase A, but here is the protein kinase G. It is the protein kinase G, dimeric enzymes that have the R and the C domains, that is the regulatory and the catalytic domains within the same polypeptide chains. So there are two type isoenzyme of the protein kinase G, type 1 and the type 2. Type 1 is the solubles and the predominantly cytoplasmic, whereas the type 2 is particulate and attached to the variety of the biological membrane. Okay. So this protein kinase G controls the important physiological processes, like you can say regulation of the smooth muscle relaxation, platelet function in the blood, cell division, and the nucleic acid biosynthesis. So only difference you can see protein kinase A and the protein kinase C. That is the difference at the end of the action. So protein kinase G will activate here and causes the physiological process like regulation of the smooth muscle relaxations, platelet function in the blood, cell division, and the nucleic acid synthesis. So another is calcium ions, and you can see IP3 and DAG as the second messengers. So before this, I want to understood the how cyclic AMP and GMP act as a second messengers. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if that is clear, then we will move further. How this calcium ions and IP3 and diacylglycerol act as the second messengers. So this ionized calcium is also in the different form. It is bound to the proteins or phosphate, and it is a ionized form. Ionized form is the active form, and which is having the number of functions like muscle contraction, blood clotting, enzyme activity, membrane excitability. So these are the few functions of the ionized calcium, which is the active calcium in the ion form. So the enzyme which required for the formation of this IP3 and DAG, that is the phospholipase C, which is activated by the hormones when it will bind. Okay, when the hormone bind to the receptors, and that causes the activation of the phospholipase C. And this phospholipase C causes the formation of the inocytal triphosphate diacylglycerol. And these two compounds help in the release of the calcium from where it is stored. Like if it is stored in the endoplasmic reticulum, from that it will be liberated with the help of the inocytal triphosphate IP3. So it is basically formed from the lipids. From the lipids, there is a IP3 and DAG will be synthesized with the help of enzyme known as phospholipase C. Okay, phospholipase C that will act on the phospholipids. Okay, and it help in the production of the IP3 and DAG. So in this scheme, activated protein kinase C phosphorylates the specific substrate, which in turn having the physiological functions. Like the calcium ions bind to the calmodulin complex, which activates the again the kinase and having the physiological function. So it will be better in the diagram. It will be explained here. You can see. So once these hormones bind to the receptors, okay, and intercellular you can see here. This will be the GDP. After binding, it will convert the GTP and bind to the phospholipase C. Phospholipase C. Okay, phospholipase C. This PIP2 phosphoinositol diphosphate, with the help of this phospholipase C, it is converted into the IP3 and the DAG. First, you see here the plasma membrane, see the receptor which is present. A hormone will bind to that receptors, and the GDP converted into the GTP after binding of that, and this activated form will go and activate the phospholipase C. And this phospholipase C act on the PIP2 and causes the release of IP3 and the DAG. This IP3 opens the calcium channels in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, open the calcium channels, and calcium will release from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay, this calcium will release. And this diacylglycerols, what it does, it causes the activation of the protein kinase C. Protein kinase C will be activated with the help of the DAG, and the calcium also causes the activation of the protein kinase C. And this protein kinase C either causes phosphorylation or dysphosphorylation on some of the substrates and having the biological or physiological or metabolic actions. Okay. This is also like G protein couple type receptors. Okay. So there is a formation of the IP3 and the DHA. So this IP3 opens the calcium channels in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which causes the release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, where the high level of calcium is present. And this calcium will activate the cyclic protein kinase C, and the DAG, which is formed diacylglycerol, that also activates the protein kinase C. Oh, no. Just a minute. What is went wrong? Okay. So you can see here. You can see here the more elaborated form. So this is the receptors, the protein receptors. Okay. PIP2, this phospholipase C, act on the PIP2 after the binding of the hormones to the receptor, which is the G-coupled receptors, activated the phospholipase C, and this phospholipase C act on the PIP2 and causes the formation of the inositol triphosphate, or you can say IP3 and the diacylglycerols. So this IP3 act on the endoplasmic reticulum, or you can do the sarcoplasmic, and cause the release of the calciums, and this calcium will bind to the calmodulin, and this complex, calcium and calmodulin complex, a specific calmodulin kinase and multifunctional calmodulin kinase, and finally these proteins will become the phosphoproteins having the physiological functions. Similarly, we can see here diacylglycerols, this protein kinase C, which activated by the diacylglycerols, which act on the substrate, we can say the proteins, which will be either phosphorylated or the dephosphorylated, we can say, and cause the physiological functions. So in this way, so this calcium, which is released, either acts for the calmodulin, okay, or diacylglycerol, which acts through the protein kinase C, which activates the protein kinase C, and finally it causes the phosphorylation of the that proteins, and having the that protein becomes the active and causes the physiological functions, biological function, or the metabolic functions. So in this way, calcium, IP3, diacylglycerols act as a second messenger. So hormones is not entering inside the cell, but it is passing the message through the IP3, diacylglycerol, and the calciums, and causes the biological, physiological, and the metabolic functions. So the last part, that is protein kinase or phosphatase, that also act as a second messengers. That also act as a second messengers for the different pathway. For the different signaling pathway, these two are act as a second messengers, protein kinase and the phosphatase. So insulin, you can say the example insulin, that is act through the kinase. JAK state pathway, that is signaling pathway, some of the hormones and the cytokines that act through the JAK state pathway, Janus kinase pathway. So you can see here the example, leptin, this is a protein hormones, leptin, which is a protein hormones, this act through the JAK state pathway. So this is Janus kinase, JAK means Janus kinase. Okay, so this is present on the receptors, plasma membrane, it is present on the plasma membrane, having the three domains, extracellular domains, transmembrane domain, and the intracellular domains. Okay, three domains. One is extracellular, transmembrane, in the intracellular domains, and this is intracellular domains having the tyrosinase activities, having the tyrosine kinase activity, you can say tyrosine kinase activities. The intracellular having tyrosine kinase activity. So there is a JAK. JAK is a tyrosine kinase enzymes. Janus kinase, the tyrosine kinase enzyme, which is bound to the intracellular domains, but is inactive. When the hormone is not bind, it will be inactive. So the receptors having the three domains, extracellular domains, transmembrane domains, and the intracellular domains. Intracellular domain contains the tyrosine kinase enzyme, that is a JAK, Janus kinase enzyme. Now it is inactive. It is a single one. Okay. So when the cytokines or the leptin hormone is bound to the receptors, and this receptor causes the, after binding it with the dimer, this receptor becomes the dimer. Both will come together. So you can see the next figure, it is becomes the dimer. Once it becomes the dimer, the genus kinase will be active. After the binding, after dimerization of the receptors, these two receptors will be dimerized and it forms the dimer. And after that, this genus kinase will be activated. This genus kinase will be activated, and this genus kinase will cause the phosphorylation of the intracellular domain. Intracellular domain becomes the phosphorylated. This phosphate which is added to be phosphorylated, and now the phosphorylated part will be docking site or binding site for the STAT. This is the transducer proteins. Okay, this STAT protein will bind to these phosphorylated portions in the intracellular domain, which is phosphorylated by the genus kinase. This S2 will come and bind. Again, this genus kinase, what it will do, it causes the phosphorylation of the STAT. This STAT will be phosphorylated, and this phosphorylated state will again dimerize. Okay, it forms the dimer and release from the intracellular domain after the activations and reach to the nucleus, where it will bind to the HRE, hormone response elements, and causes the transcription, translations, and finally the physiological actions. So in this way, some of the hormones and cytokines causes the biological actions. So what I said, this leptin, which is the protein hormones, and the cytokines like interleukins and all, the cytokines act through the genus kinase, and there is many other signaling pathway through that it will act. So in the starting, it is the inactive and it will be the single. It's not in dimer form, it will be in the single form, and inactive form having the extracellular domains, transmembrane domain, and the intracellular domain. Intracellular domain contains the genus kinase, that is the tyrosine kinase activity. Once the cytokines or the hormones bind to the receptors, it's called as the dimerization of the receptors. This receptor will become the dimer, and due to that, the genus kinase will become the active, which causes the phosphorylation of intracellular domain. So you can see that this phosphate groups, the P indicates the phosphorylation, and to the phosphorylated part that will act as a docking site for the STAT or binding site for the STAT. So this STAT will go and bind to this phosphate group in the intracellular domain of the both receptors. Okay, and again there is a phosphorylation of this STAT, and which becomes now active. So it will again dimerize. It becomes the dimer, and this active form entered into the nucleus and causes the act on the specific region in the DNA that is known as hormone responsive elements, and lead to the transcription, translation, a specific protein will form, and that leads to the biological or physiological functions. So this is the one way how this kinase enzymes help in the act as a second messenger or help in the uh, generation of the cellular effects or biological functions. So same thing I have shown here. So in this you can say before it is inactive, after binding it created the docking sites, and to that this phosphate will, this state will come and bind. Again there is a phosphorylation of a state by the JAK genus kinase, and which is being dimerized, released from the intracellular domains and reach to the nucleus and cause the transcription, translations, and generation of the different proteins. So this is all about the mechanism of action of hormones. So as I said, there is a different pathway through that it will act. So in the last class we have discussed there's a two group of hormones, there's a class 1 and the class 2 hormones. So class 1 hormones is lipophilic in nature, and the example are steroid hormones and the thyroid hormones, which is act through the hormone receptor complex. So group 1 classes of hormones act through the hormone receptor complex, So this is complex, either it form in the cytosol or in the nucleus, depending on the types of class 1 hormones, like if it is a steroid hormones or the thyroid hormones. If it is steroid hormones, it will bind to the cytosolic receptors or cytoplasmic receptors, and it forms the complex. It forms the hormone receptor complex, and this complex reaches to the nucleus, act on the specific site on the DNA that is known as hormone response elements, and causes the activation of the transcription, then translations, and formation of specific proteins and the biological actions. If it is the thyroid hormones, it acts through the nuclear receptors, the receptor which present in the nucleus, to that it will bind. Again, it forms the complex, that is hormone receptor complex, that again act on the DNA, a specific region of the DNA that is known as hormone response elements, which lead to the activation of the transcription, translation, and formation of the specific proteins, which lead to the biological actions or metabolic action or cellular effects. That is a group 1 class of hormones. And the group 2 class of hormones, the example you can say protein hormones, peptide hormones, or amino acid derivatives. And some of the cytokines, you can say, some of the cytokines also. So these all act through the class 2 group. Okay. So this class 2 group of hormones, which is not causes the directly effects on the cell. As like the class 1, which forms the hormone receptor complex, it will not able to cross the membrane. The plasma membrane is not crossed by the proteins, peptide, or amino acid derivative hormones. So what it will do, it will send the signal. It will send the signal to the cell and causes the biological effects. So how it will send the signals? It will send the signal through the second messenger. There is a different type of second messenger. Through that, it will send the signal for the biological actions. So the second messengers are cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP. It's act through the IP3, DAG, calcium, and also you can the gases like the nitric oxides. Through the gases also some of the book it had mentioned. Okay, so but mainly you can remember the three, that is the cyclic nucleotides, cyclic AMP and GMP, the IP3, diacylglycerols, and the calcium ions. So these are the main second messengers which help in the sending the message from plasma membrane, that receptors, to the inside the cells, which causes the biological activity. And some of the hormones act through the kinase or phosphatase cascade through that second messenger, that also act as a second messenger. So the cyclic AMP, it is synthesized from the ATP with the help of adenyl cyclase, and which activates the protein kinase A. Okay, and finally it alters the protein, either it's a phosphorylated or dysphosphorylated, or you can activate or inhibits and causes the biological actions. Similarly, cyclic GMP, it synthesized with the help of the guanylyl cyclase, and it forms the cyclic GMP. And the hormones which act through the GMP are nitric oxides. Nitric oxide acts through the cyclic GMP. And there is a G protein coupled receptors, through that it will act. G protein coupled receptors, which is present on the plasma membrane and having the three domains: intercellular domains, transmembrane domain, and the extracellular domains. Extracellular domain present outside. To that, hormones can bind as a first messengers and causes the activation of the G proteins, formation of the second messengers, which passes the message, and finally have the physiological actions. So another group, that is the calcium, IP3, and the diacylglycerols. So these two mainly act through the protein kinase C, phospholipase C, which help in the formation of IP3 and DAG. So this IP3 help in the release of the calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, where there is a more amount of calcium is stored, which is released, okay, and bind to the its transporter calmodulin, and which causes the phosphorylation of the proteins and the physiological actions. Similarly, diacylglycerol activates the protein kinase C, which also causes the phosphorylation of proteins and having the biological functions. The last one, that is the kinase cascades, like some of the hormones like the leptins and the cytokines, they have act through the kinase cascades. So in this case, having the three receptors having the three domains as like before, extracellular domains, transmembrane domains, and the intracellular domains. So intracellular domains contains the tyrosine kinase activities, which causes the phosphorylation of the intracellular domains, and to that other proteins will come and bind, and which will be again phosphorylated and become the dimer and active, which leads to the nucleus and causes the changes in the DNA, a specific region on DNA, that is the hormone response elements, and causes the activation of the transcription, translations, and the specific protein will form, which having the biological actions. So this is all regarding the mechanism of action of hormones. So do you have any doubt? Any doubt do you have? This is all regarding the mechanism of action of hormones. So yesterday we have discussed regarding the hormones, different type of hormones, the classifications, function of the hormones. So today this is regarding the mechanism of action of hormones.